Hello, everybody, and welcome along to Sportsbet TV as I look ahead this Monday evening to the first 2 days of Royal Ascot, starting on Tuesday, the 20th of June, and also the tips as well for Wednesday. It's going to be the most wonderful meeting, of course. It is one of the greatest shows on turf in the whole world, and we've got 5 days of terrific action. Now, as well as this bulletin, I'll also have a bulletin for you on Wednesday evening with the tips for Thursday and Friday, and then as usual I'll have my Friday evening bulletin, which is going to be for the weekend, including of course the 5th and final day of Royal Ascot. So there's a lot to look forward to this week, and my tips here at Sportsbet are all free. I'm going to be offering you 2 selections a day. I've gone into much more depth with more selections at my subscription service at Out in Front. And if you want to join me for Royal Ascot and other big meetings going through the summer, then do check out the link just below this screen on the Patreon service. It's going to be a brilliant Royal Ascot, I think, at Out in Front. Some very interesting, I think, analysis and views and choices, many of them at very good odds. If you're new to us here at Sportsbet, though, where I offer my selections free, then please press the subscribe button just below this screen, and then you'll be able to follow my tips free for the duration. Now, I'm going to crack straight on. I've got 2 for you on Tuesday and 2 for you on Wednesday, and you're going to have to wait until the 5:35 race on Tuesday for my first selection, which is in the Wolferton Stakes, which is a really hot listed race. 5:35, 16 runners over 1.25 miles. They're forecasting the ground good to firm in places, but of course we have to keep a weather eye out because there could be thunderstorms that throw a real spanner in the works. So there's all of these tips are pretty much with a proviso, as long as it doesn't come up a mud bath after a rainstorm. Now, there's going to be a lot of people backing a horse called Saga here. Because it's Frankie Dettori who's having his last Royal Ascot, of course. All Frankie's mounts are being well backed this week. The Gosdens, and of course it's the King's horse. Excuse me, the King. That's no comment on me being a royalist. I'm not going to go into it. Anyway, his price is probably a little bit shorter than it should be, but he's a horse who ran very well last time out at the Guineas meeting when he was second beaten ahead. Question is he going to be able to win? He failed to just win at the Royal meeting last year for the late Queen. Maybe he can make amends this time, but I think he's a little bit short. On the bare form, the pick of the actual form book here, I would say, is Buckaroo for Joseph O'Brien. He was only beaten a neck in a Group 1 last time out in France over 9 furlongs. And the last 2 times he's dropped down to listed level, he's won on both occasions, so he has to be feared. As too does Aidan O'Brien's Bolshoi Ballet, who was one-time favourite for the Derby of 2021. Indeed, he went off the 11-8 favourite, but only finished 7th that year. He's faced a lot of tough tasks, and this is easier than most of them, but he was beaten a neck last time out at Newbury in a Group 3 over 1.5 miles, but you've always to fear Aidan O'Brien, whatever level he is running his horses at. Charlie Appleby's King of Conquest has been very, very progressive. He completed a 4-timer beating Francesco Clemente a neck at Goodwood over 10 furlongs last time out, and he could very easily run another big race, while Cadillac for George Bowie, who used to be trained in Ireland by Jesse Harrington, won really nicely at Epsom last time out and won't be far away. Another one I think has got a big chance is Solid Stone for Sir Michael Stout and Richard Kingscote, who won the Huxley Stakes Group 2 last year and tends to go really well at Ascot. I'm going to be backing a couple in the race. One of them I shall be highlighting and going into more depth with at Out in Front. But the other one, which is actually the shorter priced of the 2, is a horse called Francesco Clemente. It is the horse that finished second last time out, and that was at Goodwood. It ran second to King of Conquest, and Francesco Clemente is a horse that I think could be very, very useful indeed. And this is a horse who will now improve and step forward for his run last time out, and he's got some really solid form in the book, and I think he's a horse who is still unexposed and still likely to be improving. He shapes as if this is his ideal conditions. And I think if he'd had a run under his belt, he would have beaten King of Conquest last time out and probably been very nearly favourite for this. Now, the truth is, when I first looked at him, he was a 15-2 shot, but there's been a lot of money around for him on Monday afternoon, and he's now down to a top-priced 11-2. So 11-2 it will have to be. Maybe he'll drift back out a little bit, come a little bit nearer the race, but it's 11-2 as of Monday evening, and that is for Francesco Clemente to win the Wolferton Stakes at 5:35 on Tuesday at Royal Ascot. And then straight on to the finale on day one at Royal Ascot, the 6:10, the Copper Horse Handicap, with 16 runners again, over 1.75 miles on hopefully fairly quick ground. Once again, I'm interested in 2 runners here. I'll be splitting my bets. One of them I'm tipping it out in front. The other one, a bigger price this time around, I'm going to be tipping here at Sportsbet. Now, the bookies are terrified in this race. They're absolutely shivering. I had to clean that one up. They're shivering in their boots because Willie Mullins has got a couple of horses who are coming to this from hurdling, one of whom is a high-class hurdler, Vauban, rated 160. He's been back today from 15-8 to 6-4. It's a very short price in a hot handicap at Royal Ascot, but I know a lot of the Irish have him as their banker of the week. Well, he is rated £59 higher over hurdles, and they say that £45 is normally the mark between hurdles and flat. So he could be a stone well in potentially, but he's too short. If he wins, well, good luck to you if you're backing him at 6-4 in a 16-runner Ascot handicap. The other runner for Mullins is called Absurd. He's got Frankie Dettori on, so there's likely to be late money for him. But he's only won a Killarney novice hurdle last time out, and it's hard to assess. And both the Mullins horses are unproven on fast ground, so that has to be taken into account. Now, in this race, there are a host of improving handicappers, including Charlie Appleby's Ruling Dynasty, who won very nicely at Haydock last time out in his first time in a handicap of 97. Joseph O'Brien has Point King, who was only beaten ahead in a 1.75 mile Group 3 at Leopardstown last time. Roger Varian, whose horses are beginning to hit their top gear now, has Postoleo. He's on a hat-trick after wins at Doncaster and Hamilton. And George Baker has Kemhan, who bolted up, really hacked up at Kempton last time out over 1.5 miles. He's also won over this trip, but he'd gone up £9 for that win at Kempton, and that might just hold him back, although he won't be far away. And another one at a good price here is Sam Cook for Rafe Beckett. He was second on his reappearance at York behind Scampi in a 15-runner hot handicap, and he stays. He won over 1.75 miles at Newmarket last August, so he's one for you to take a look at a big price too. But I have for you an even bigger priced horse. And this is one of the 2 I'll be betting in the race. And this one, I think, is so ridiculously overpriced. Indeed, the price is drifting all the time. And I'm able to tell you that at the time of this recording, William Hills have gone 80-1. 80-1 for 5 places. And the horse is called Charging Thunder, trained by David O'Mara and the mount of Jason Watson. I really don't understand why this horse is such big odds. I think a lot of people are looking at the fact that his last 4 runs, he was disappointing. But the truth is they were in Meydan in midwinter. This horse is a summer horse who likes fast ground, summer ground. And he was never really going to do well in Meydan. His connections decided to try and go for the big money, and he didn't disgrace himself, but he didn't win. But this is a horse who last time he was running in Britain was running very well on quick ground. He was second in the Old Borough Cup over 1.75 miles at Haydock on good to firm ground. And he was also second in the Shergar Cup at Ascot, only just beaten. So he goes at the course, he goes on fast ground, he stays. They've put the cheek pieces on him for the first time. He's had a nice break since having gone out there in the winter to Meydan. And I'm hopeful that he is going to outrun his odds. I mean, if I was pricing this up, I wouldn't go much bigger than 25-1 Charging Thunder, which is why when I saw 50-1, I was interested. When I saw 66-1, I was quite excited. And now, in the last few minutes, at the time of this recording, William Hills have gone up 80 to 1. Could we have another Jeff Kidder on our hands? We shall see. That's Charging Thunder at Ascot. I'll be backing him along with the other horse that I'm tipping at Out in Front in the Couple Horse Handicap on Tuesday at 6:10. And then I'm going to take you on to my selections for Wednesday. There are 2 of them. Now, Sportsbet is all about backing horses at value odds. And sometimes those odds are don't have to be very big odds to be value. I know I tend to put up big priced horses, but sometimes there are prices there that just look better than they should be. So that's why I'm tipping a horse win only in the 340 at Ascot on Wednesday. And this is the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge Stakes. There are 10 runners over the straight mile, and it's good to firm ground. Now, the favourite is Joseph O'Brien's Jumbly, who won at Ascot in Group 3 company on good to firm ground over a mile last year. And he ran very well in his reappearance 3.5 weeks ago when second in a Group 2 over at the Curragh. And Ryan Moore rides again, but he's a 2 to 1 chance. That's really a bit thin, I think. And he's a Group 3 winner. The same owner has a horse called Grand Dame for the Gosdens, and this one has the beating of Jumbly on the line through a horse called Oscula on their form last season. Grand Dame ended last season with a very good third in a Group 1, the Sun Chariot Stakes at Newmarket. It's been off 9 months, so its fitness has to be taken on trust, but it does go well fresh. And that one's about a 8.5, 9 to 1 shot. Then you've got Road Millennium, who's a 10 to 1 chance for Tom Clover, his stable Star. This one put up its best run yet last time out when it was only beaten half a length, finishing second to Free Wind at York in the Group 2 Middleton Stakes over 1.25 miles. Well, it drops back in trip here, which is a slight question mark, but it is a horse who seems to be in very good form at the moment. But for me, I think the market's got it wrong here. The horse that should be favourite in my view is Prosperous Voyage, and this one is trained by Rafe Beckett, and yes, it has Frankie Dettori on board. If he wasn't on board, I suggest it probably would be a bigger price than it is at the moment. For me, it's the clear pick. If you excuse its poor run here last season at Royal Ascot in the Coronation Stakes, that can be the only reason I think that people are opposing Prosperous Voyage, because of that poor run at Ascot last year, because she went on after that to win the Group 1 Falmouth Stakes over 1 mile at Newmarket, beat in Spiral, who of course is one of the favourites for the Group 1 Queen Anne. And here we are talking about the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge Stakes. For me, it's standout form, that Group 1 victory. It came back on good to firm ground last time out at Epsom just a couple of weeks ago in the Group 3 Princess Elizabeth Stakes. It ran on really strongly and finished well with hands and heels only from Frankie to beat Random Harvest. And Random Harvest is going again here at 25s. But I think it will have come on for that run. And at 11 to 4 for the win only, I really think Prosperous Voyage is going to go very, very close to winning. I mean, I hope it does win. And to me, it should be favourite. And with the Frankie factor, it wouldn't surprise if they oppose Jumbly and the Prosperous Voyage goes off favourite. So I think 11 to 4 is a real value price. That's my judgment of the market. Who knows? Maybe I've got it wrong. But I just think 11 to 4 is a very fair price. And that's at 3:40 on Wednesday in the Duke of Cambridge Stakes. And then I take you on to my final selection on this bulletin. And I take you to the Royal Hunt Cup at Royal Ascot on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Now, this race is, as you know, a cavalry charge, 30 runners down the straight mile. And often you can win your race on one side and still not finish in the first half dozen. So the draw does play a big part. And also you've got to take into account as well that you need a little bit of luck in running. So it is a cavalry charge, and I am tipping 2 in this race. I'll be tipping 1 over at Out in Front and another one here for you. Perotto is the horse that's been made favourite. Is a persistent whisper, now about 15 to 2 favourite. Trained now by Roger Varian, formerly with Marcus Tregoning. A very good trial, went 7th of 22 in the Victoria Cup over 7 furlongs. It's drawn high in stall 30, which could prove to be an advantage, and that is the market leader. Daniel and Claire Kubler have Astro King, formerly with Sir Michael Stout. It put in a very good first run for the yard when 4th of 16 to Croupier at York 5 weeks ago, and actually did run in this race for Sir Michael last year and was 4th of the 29 runners, so it goes well in big field handicaps on the straight mile at Ascot. 5th in the race at York, in which Astro King was 4th, is Blue for You, and that one for David O'Mara is another one who won't be far away, while Jane Chapelheim has Intelligent, who was very unlucky at Newbury, got no sort of a run last time out, and has been hinting for ages it could win a decent handicap. And also there's Chasing Aphrodite, who won over the course and distance 7 weeks ago on its first run after a breathing operation. It's trained by Harry Eustace. It's gone up £4, and a big run from that one is also possible. But as I say, I fancy two. One you can find out if you join me at Out in Front. The other one, and this is a little bit shorter price, is called Ghali. And Ghali is trained by Saeed bin Saror and is the mount of Asheen Murphy. Now, as you know, most of the top Godolphin horses have been with Charlie Appleby for the last few seasons. I think it's a shame because Saeed bin Saror is a wonderful trainer, and he's been winning decent races, good races with horses that are in the kind of second division of the Godolphin ranks. And he's done it a few times. You remember him winning this race 2 years ago, I think it was, with Real World, who absolutely scooted him before proving himself very smart. And I think he can do it again with a horse called Ghali. He's got Asheen Murphy on board. This horse is a 7-year-old, but remarkably, he's only run 10 times. So he's obviously been a tricky horse to train. He's had quite a few gaps in his schedule. He was off 22 months before he finished second at Hamilton in June of last year. And then he won at York in last July on good to firm ground over a mile. He was off another 3.5 months, and then he won again at the end of October at Newmarket in a good mile handicap of 94. And now, well, he's been off 8 months. He's £8 higher than he was at Newmarket at the end of last season, but the patience, I think, can be rewarded because this has always looked like a horse that could win a big handicap. He's drawn 8, which is towards the far side, low number. Might not be a bad draw. And I think that he could do very similar things to Real World. He's a similar type of horse in many ways, and 10-1 is available each way for 8 places with Sky Bet. And I think he's going to give you a really good run for your money. And that will be Ghali in the Royal Hunt Cup at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. So those are my 4 for the first 2 days of Royal Ascot, and I commend them to you at Sportsbet. I'll be back on Wednesday with my tips for Thursday and Friday. Remember, once again, check out the Patreon link if you're interested in joining me for extensive tips across Royal Ascot and going forward through the summer and beyond. But for now, from me, Paul Alster at Sportsbet on Monday evening, I wish you the very best of luck for Royal Ascot. I hope you come out on top, and hopefully courtesy of some of the selections I have for you here. Bye-bye for now.